Hi there. Thank you so much for joining our information session. We are so excited to talk to you about our UC Berkeley Sciences Po Dual Degree program. And I am joined today by one of our current students, Annika. And on our next slide, I will let them introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. My name is Annika. I'm currently going into my fourth year in the Berkeley Sciences Po Dual Degree. I studied at the Hans campus, where I studied political humanities at Sciences Po, and then at UC Berkeley, I'm doing a double major between media studies and sociology. I also use any pronouns. And my favorite travel memory, so many to choose from, but I think it has to be a fall break in 2022, where I went to Berlin, Prague, and Amsterdam. I went to film festival, went to a few concerts of my favorite musicians. It was an amazing trip. Feel free to email me at the email on the screen if you have any questions.
All right, thank you so much, Annika. And of course, my name is Christina Rodardi. I'm a program coordinator with the Dual Degree Sciences Po program. Please do feel free to email us anytime. I'll put that link up on the screen at the end of the presentation, along with handles for our social media, so you'll know exactly where to find us if you ever want to get in touch. All right, so before we dive in, I just want to share a little bit about what we're going to talk about in this session. So we've got some program basics up for you, and then we'll dive into program details. Annika's going to give us some great first-person perspective there. We'll talk about things like housing, financial aid, academics, and of course, the admissions process. And we'll get a little more perspective on what our current students are saying. So starting with the basics, it's a four-year program. And the first 2 years are always at Sciences Po, and the second 2 years are always at UC Berkeley. This program does not require that students know or speak French in order to apply because all of the courses will be taught in English. And students who do not have a French language background or who maybe have some French language background but are not fluent can take French language classes at Sciences Po. So what a great way to learn French by being in France. If you speak French, that's awesome. Your classes will still be in English for most programs. Um, and you would be potentially able to study another language while you're at Sciences Po. But the bottom line is no prior knowledge of French is necessary to apply to this program. It is called a dual degree program for a reason, and that is because students earn 2 full bachelor's degrees upon successful completion. So one of those is a bachelor's from Sciences Po, the other is a bachelor's from UC Berkeley. And lastly, a great perk of this program is that after graduation, students have guaranteed admission to a graduate degree program of their choice at Sciences Po Paris. Students don't have to pursue this option, but it is there if that is interesting.
So, students applying to the dual degree can apply to one of three of Sciences Po's regional campuses. So, we have Reims, Le Havre, and Menton. Sorry for any French speakers watching this video. But all the campuses, beautiful, and they've all undergone recent renovations and are equipped with modern facilities, even if they're housed in older buildings. Personally, I was at the Reims campus, but we also have mentors from all of the campuses that are here to answer any questions that you have. So some more of a breakdown of the three campuses. So we have first we have the Hans campus. So this is going to be in the Champagne region of France. It's northeast of Paris. It's about 45 minutes away from Paris. So I went very regularly. It was an amazing time. It's also the biggest campus. It has around 1,500 students, which for Sciences Po is one of the bigger ones. If you're coming from the US and you're thinking about Berkeley size, it feels very small. But within the three campuses, it's the biggest one. As mentioned, it's close to Paris. And then it houses the Europe North America Studies program. This is the one I did. This is all in English. No French background is required. Personally, I had no French background or connection and completely and did fine. I survived. And you genuinely don't need to have that background. And then there's also the Europe Africa Studies program, which was previously only offered in French, but is actually now starting the 2025 intake, offered in English as well, which is very exciting. And also has the gender studies certificate, I completed this program, so if you have questions about this, I can answer those as well. The Menton and Le Havre campuses both have around 300 students. Menton's focus is Middle Eastern and Mediterranean studies, and then Le Havre focuses on the Europe-Asia region and also has the Ocean Certificate. All of these campuses have clubs and student organizations that you can get involved with. They have thriving student life experiences, and all of them have unique travel locations nearby the campus, and each has a unique feel of the city. Generally, student populations at each campus is 1/3 international students, 1/3 French students, and 1/3 from the region of study. Um, yeah, so you can think about the region when you're applying and the topic of interest. So next we have the UC Berkeley campus. One of the perks of this program is that you get to study in two completely different places, but both are absolutely amazing places to study and to live. So the UC Berkeley campus is in the Bay Area of California, and it's around 45 minutes away from San Francisco by public transport. It's super easy to get into the city using BART. And it's also close to Silicon Valley, so a lot of students participate in internships in Silicon Valley or have post-grad opportunities in Silicon Valley if that's something you're interested in. But also because it's the Bay Area, it has really any industry you're interested in for internships. I have friends doing internships at art museums, in government. It has everything you can ask for. A vibrant campus town. It truly feels like you're living with students. The main area, Telegraph, is all students. You feel like you're truly on a college campus. The campus is beautiful, surrounded by nature. You can wake up, see the sun, go on a hike, see the sunset, then go to your 9 a.m. class. Yeah, there's also pretty nice weather. I'm from Minnesota, so I love California winters. I will take the rain over -30 and snow any day. Um, Berkeley also has a lot of amenities and services for students. There's multiple gyms, pools. There's so many beautiful libraries. My favorite library is actually on the slide here. It's Morrison Library. Um, it's an amazing place to go and read. There's the Glade, there's Botanical Garden. There's museums like BAMFA. I'm part of the BAMFA student committee. It's the Berkeley Art Museum. It's free to students. And there's also many majors to choose from at Berkeley, and many ways to get involved with research, such as URAP, as Berkeley is a research institution. As mentioned, there's internships, there's the Career Center, they'll look over your resume, your cover letter. Um, Basically, moral of the story is that UC Berkeley has really anything that you could ask for. You really get to shape your experience, which is my favorite part of the program. You can each year you can do something completely different. And yeah, you have everything to choose from.
All right, next we're going to talk a little bit about academics, starting with Sciences Po. So as we mentioned, there are three campuses that we work with for this program. There's Reims, Le Havre, and Menton. Students at the time of application select one of those three campuses where they will do their first and second years. Every program on each campus results in the same degree, so it doesn't matter which location you choose. You're going to get a Bachelor's of Arts in a social science program. Really, the only differences besides some of the geographical considerations are the specific major, or sorry, are the regional focus, which sort of shapes the specific major that you do while at Sciences Po. However, the curriculum is pretty standardized. Students take all the same classes their first year, and then their second year really start taking a deeper dive into the campus's region of focus. And as we mentioned, each campus does offer programs fully in English and no prior study of French is required.
So this slide gives some of a breakdown of academics at Sciences Po. Basically, during your first year, it's going to be a foundation. Everybody takes roughly the same classes. You do have some choice in the seminars that you take, but there is a core curriculum that everybody takes that's in the social sciences. It's really built to complement each other. And then during your second year, you choose your major, which they're all you specialize in a multidisciplinary subject with a regional focus depending on the campus, as Christina mentioned. But you have three choices. You can choose economy and society, which is a mix of economics and sociology. You can choose political humanities, which is a mixture of political science, humanities, sociology. I thought there was a lot of art history and history as well as philosophy. Very multidisciplinary major. That's the one that I did. I absolutely loved it. I would not do, if I had to choose again, I would choose political humanities every single time. But you also have politics and government. This is the most popular major at Sciences Po, and it's your political science and law major. Um, and as mentioned, these are all focused around the regional focus of each campus. And students can also have a minor if they so choose. And you have minors in there's trade and finance, international relations, thinking like a lawyer, and sociology, which I did sociology. And then your third year is required to be abroad. So the normal Sciences Po degree is 3 years long, and in the third year, everybody, no matter what, goes abroad, which is super nice for the transition to Berkeley, because you won't be leaving your friends behind. Everybody leaves, everybody goes off on their adventures, and everybody goes all over the world. It's super cool. And in your third year, you will go to Berkeley. And then a key part of the Sciences Po experience is the civic engagement project. And this is something that you'll complete all over your 3 years. So the civic engagement project is a great way to connect your studies to real world or practical experience. So you have both academic and professional development in your field. It's a really nice opportunity to specialize in something you're passionate about and yeah, get both that academic and professional side. So basically, I can split it into the 3 years. So during your first year, you'll think about what you want to do for your civic engagement project. You'll write your civic engagement letter. It's like 2 pages long. It's not daunting. And it'll lead to a 1 month civic engagement internship in the summer between your first and second year. Personally, I did this internship working at a child development center and thinking about curriculum and what curriculum would be best for particularly young children. And then during your second year, you do an independent project. This will be in person at the city that you study in. So during this year, I did an internship at the Queer Center in France, which was super cool to be able to practice my French because it was all in French. And so I was working in French. And during your third year, this will all culminate in a capstone project that's due at the end of your third year. And basically, this is kind of a mini thesis where you'll reflect back on your experiences in the civic engagement internship and the independent project, and you'll connect this to an academic topic. So for me, the connection between the two was thinking about curriculum development, specifically how curriculum can be developed in state-sponsored education to lead to gender and racial equality. And so that was the connection between the two, and then the connection between the two professional experiences that you then explore through an academic lens. When you do it, it's very much broken down into steps. So it sounds daunting now, but it's very doable. So next we'll talk about some of the strengths of Sciences Po. So academically, there's really a multidisciplinary education, as the curriculum is specifically crafted to kind of work together. You'll be talking about a theorist in one class, and then maybe they'll be brought up in another class, but it's a completely different lens. So that was one of my favorite parts, was that I felt like all my classes really fit well together, and I felt like I was truly like learning and you don't just get that factual knowledge, but you also get a very critical lens. You really reflect and you think about topics in a new way. Um, and one of my favorite things as well with this critical reflection was debate in classes. people are very engaged. Your classes are small, they're around 15 to 20 students. So people really get to know each other and you actually are able to talk and debate in class. People have very different opinions. And one of my favorite things was debating with people hours after class, just because we all just love the topic so much and we all like we're just like nerds about it. And it was great. You also have field experience. So as mentioned, there's the civic engagement project where you walk away from Sciences Po with concrete professional experience. But also just being in a new place, you learn a lot. And I felt like I learned as much outside of the classroom as I did inside the classroom. You also get a truly global understanding. More than half of the student body is international, and then half the student body is French, which means you get both a French perspective as well as an international perspective. Um, and of the students that are international, it's not just French students and American students, it's genuinely international. And you'll have people in your classes from all over, which is really enriching because maybe you'll be talking about constitutions, and then people will bring up the constitution in Norway, and then the next person will bring up the constitution in like Lithuania, and people will bring in their personal experience. So it's another way you can learn, not just from reading a textbook, but from each other. And you also, of course, learn from academics and practitioners in your actual courses. So another strength of Sciences Po is travel. So this is actually a list of all the places that I've visited in the 2 years. So you can really get around for pretty cheap. I remember the Flixbus from Paris to Amsterdam was like 20 euros. So you can go there for a weekend, go back, um, and yeah, really make use of travel and all the learning experience that comes with that. So at the end of your 2 years at Sciences Po, you will transition to Berkeley for your last 2 years. And personally, I thought the transition was very smooth. This was something I was really worried about, um, moving not just once to college, but then moving again. But I actually not just thought it was, I didn't just think it was smooth, but um, I'm so happy to be able to be in two different places, and to truly get an experience at both. Some of the reasons that the transition to Berkeley is so smooth is because of our lovely advisors. We have Christina here as well as Amber. You get one-on-one advising starting at Sciences Po through graduation. This is invaluable, especially at Berkeley when there are so many classes, so many majors to choose from. Having one-on-one advising is something that truly makes this program special and was something that I didn't realize made the program special when I was applying. You also get priority enrollment for your fall semester. I didn't have trouble getting into any of the classes that I needed to get into for my majors. Um, You'll also participate in Golden Bear orientation a week before classes begin. And what's really nice about Berkeley is that there's a huge transfer population. And so the orientation, you won't just be with freshmen, but you'll actually be part of the transfer orientation. And so you'll be talking to other students that are getting there in their third year. And it's a very common thing for students to arrive at Berkeley during their third year. And so, people are very open to making new friends. It's easy to join clubs. Berkeley is not a place where you have to join clubs during your first year to be able to be in those clubs, which is something that I found really nice. And I know is not the same at other universities. So the schools are really attuned to each other. And there's also specific dual BA student organization. There's the student board that hosts events for dual degree students, and you generally become fairly familiar with people in the dual degree while at Sciences Po because Sciences Po is a smaller campus. You'll know people on campus, which makes the transition to Berkeley even easier.
All right, thank you, Annika. That was a lot of just really rich and helpful information about Sciences Po and our transition over to UC Berkeley. So with that said, I'll talk a little bit more about the academic portion at Berkeley. So when students apply to this program, they are automatically applying to the UC Berkeley's College of Letters and Sciences, which is the largest college on the Berkeley campus and has about 20,000 students and about 80 majors. So when students are completing the application, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you should indicate your anticipated major at the time of application. It's okay if you change your mind later, but the reason it's important to put your the major you're interested in on your application is because in case you are interested in a high demand major, which is a super popular major that might have limited space, it's always easier and best to indicate that on your application to ensure that you have a spot in that high demand major. It's always easier to transfer out of a high demand major than it is to transfer in. So if you'll notice on the screen here, there's a list of some super popular majors among the dual degree students, and those that are highlighted in bold are considered high demand majors. So if you think you might want to be media studies, for example, you should indicate that on your application. Um, so as Annika mentioned, before students come to Berkeley, they meet one-on-one for academic advising with either Amber or myself. Amber is our program assistant director. And during that appointment, we will review your Sciences Po curriculum. We'll talk about your anticipated major at Berkeley, and we will work together to pick out your first fall semester schedule at Berkeley. Um, Students do not need to major in the same thing at Sciences Po as they do at UC Berkeley. Some students do choose to continue their studies kind of throughout the 4 years, but other students do things completely differently. Most students, however, will stay within the social sciences. Um, and some students will elect to also maybe double major or have a major and a minor while at Berkeley. That's not required. And honestly, a lot of students will stick with one major while at Berkeley and then use the extra time in their schedule to just take fun classes in other departments. Certainly, it's certainly possible to double major or have a minor. And if that's something you're interested in, we can talk about that as well. You can email us anytime. And again, we do have those one-on-one check-in appointments at the end of year 2, but before you come to Berkeley for year 3 to really hone in on your academic plan.
So housing is another thing that students often have questions about. So your housing at Sciences Po and UC Berkeley are going to look a little bit different. So while at Sciences Po, most students stay in either student residences or have their own apartments. Homestays are also something that students can take part of. But basically, student residences are going to be kind of glorified American dorms, where you have your own room, you have a kitchenette, a bathroom, and you'll be staying in the building with all other students. And the students don't necessarily have to be going to Sciences Po. They'll be going to any school, any university within the city. Um, and then there are also apartments. There's a very accessible apartment rental market in all of the cities that the three Sciences campuses are in, which is super nice. You will not be paying Paris rent. Um, it's very affordable. And it's also you can you can have a very nice apartment for not a lot of money, which is super nice. And it's something that a lot of students have colloques, and so they'll have like a nice apartment and they'll host events. Um, while you're at There's also the CAF government housing subsidy for all students. So this is something that it's not just for French students, it's for international students as well. And basically the French government will give you money for housing, which is super nice. And it's something that you will apply for during your first year. While at UC Berkeley, you have guaranteed housing, which is super nice because Berkeley housing can be very competitive. But a perk of this program is that you are guaranteed housing at either International House or the Berkeley Student Cooperatives. So International House is this huge, very beautiful building. It's dorm style, so a lot of students will share a room. And there is a library inside the building. There's the dining hall that students eat at. And then the Berkeley Student Cooperatives are a more affordable housing option. And basically, there are these kind of big houses that'll range from around like 20 students to like 150. But they are more affordable because you work usually around 5 hours a week. And so you work cooperatively to maintain the house, to, cook meals, and both housing options also provide an opportunity to meet friends and have a community, which is super nice when you transition to a new place. I think most people in the dual degree find their friends through housing. And so both of these options provide a great way to meet new people. Um, and other options are available, but they're not guaranteed. So you can stay in private housing, but that's something that you will find on your own. Personally, for me, I've stayed in a different housing each year. So my first year, I stayed in a student residence. I had a great experience there. And then the second year, I moved into a private apartment in France. Um, and then my third year, I lived in an international house. And then my fourth year, I'm living in private housing. Um, all of the housing options I'd recommend, and it's a great way to explore different communities.
And next, we're going to talk about the finances. So this is a question we often get a lot of times more so from parents or family members or anybody who is interested in how much this program costs. Perfectly valid question. So I will start by sharing that students pay the fees directly to the campus they are attending. So the first 2 years at Sciences Po, students pay all fees directly to Sciences Po. Similarly, in the second 2 years, students pay all of those fees to UC Berkeley. Now, tuition does, of course, vary on each campus, either at Sciences Po or UC Berkeley. And at Sciences Po, students whose families do not pay taxes within the European Union are assessed like a flat 14,720 euros per year. Now, that is for the 24-25 academic year. That may increase, next year to be determined. Um, families who reside within the European Union and pay taxes within the European Union are assessed tuition based on their family's income, so it is a sliding scale. At UC Berkeley, tuition is also assessed in a couple of different ways. One, UC Berkeley is a California state school, so California residents pay in-state tuition, which is about $20,000 a year. Non-California residents, so anybody who lives outside of California, whether it's next door in Nevada or overseas somewhere, can expect to pay about $50,000 in tuition annually. Now, we are really happy that federal financial aid may be available to students who are U.S. citizens, permanent residents, or green card holders, and it can be used at both Sciences Po and UC Berkeley. So this is the financial aid that you can access by filling out your FAFSA application in the year before you plan to attend college. Financial aid awards are determined based on your FAFSA. And again, at this time, the dual degree program is eligible for federal financial aid at both Sciences Po and at UC Berkeley. For students who are not U.S. citizens, permanent residents, or green card holders, but who will study at UC Berkeley on a visa, are encouraged to apply to as many scholarships as possible, which can be accessed through the Berkeley International Office and other third-party organizations. I'm sharing this because we understand that UC Berkeley is expensive. We understand that the cost of living in the Bay Area is also expensive, and that financial aid opportunities might otherwise be limited for international students. So international students, all students are always encouraged to apply to any scholarships they think they might be qualified for. So things like the Berkeley Alumni Chapter, International House, some other outside organizations like Diversity Abroad offer myriad scholarship opportunities. And then lastly, I'll mention that our program does offer a $2,000 social media scholarship annually to a first-year student. So all admitted students can apply to this scholarship, and the winner will receive $2,000 in exchange for being our social media ambassador of sorts and providing content for one social media post per month. Okay, so that was the rundown of academics, civic engagement, housing, and finances at both Sciences Po and UC Berkeley. So if you're still interested, now we're going to talk about the admissions process. So how do you apply? So basically, there's two parts to the application. One is the UC Berkeley application. So all students need to complete the University of California application and indicate that they are applying to UC Berkeley. This application opens on August 1st of this year. The second component of the application is the dual degree supplemental application. So you would also need to submit the Sciences Po supplemental application. And by doing this, that indicates to us that you are interested in the dual degree program. The Sciences Po supplemental application opens on September 1st of this year. Both applications are due on December 2nd, 2024. For those of you who are familiar with the UC application, it's traditionally November 30th. November 30th is traditionally the application due date. However, that is a Saturday in 2024. Hence, the revised due date is December 2nd. So if you are thinking of applying, mark that on your calendar. Side note, we typically hold an admissions-focused information session in September. So check our website regularly for updated information on the events tab. Applications to the dual degree program are reviewed by our Office of Undergraduate Admission for early admission. Note that this is early admission, not early decision. So this means that if a candidate is deemed admissible into the program, sort of the next stage is an interview. So if students are invited for an interview, that will take place virtually in January, and then admissions decisions are sent in February. It is possible to be admitted to UC Berkeley, but denied admission to the Sciences Po portion. So if that happens, students are certainly more than welcome to still attend the traditional four-year UC Berkeley program. Similarly, admitted students to the dual degree program can deny the Sciences Po acceptance and still choose to attend Berkeley for all 4 years instead. Students cannot, however, deny the UC Berkeley acceptance and attend the full 3-year Sciences Po program. If you are interested in the 3-year Sciences Po program instead, you would then need to apply directly on the Sciences Po website. And again, just a quick note, students who participate in the dual degree program are guaranteed admissions to a Sciences Po master's program. So that's an overview of the admissions process. Now I'll talk a little bit about kind of our approach and what that looks like on the application. So here at Berkeley, we strive for a comprehensive, holistic admissions approach that considers 3 things: your academics, your extracurricular activities, and your responses to the personal insight questions, which are basically short answer essays. So starting with academics, we consider things like a GPA, which must be a minimum of 3.0 for California residents or a 3.4 for out-of-state residents. It is okay if your school does not calculate a GPA. If you are from an international school, for example, we will calculate GPAs internally if you do not use a traditional American grading scale. What's ultimately important is that you pass your classes and have competitive grades and scores. We also consider academic performance overall. So that's things like the courses that you've taken throughout your high school career. So any AP, IB, or honors courses, any additional courses you've taken outside of your traditional schooling. So like summer school, online classes, community or college classes. We also consider your coursework within the context of your high school. So for example, if your high school does not offer AP or IB or honors courses, that is okay. You can just make a note of this in your application. And like I said, we'll consider it within the context of what your school does offer. And of course, we'll consider any additional educational activities or learning opportunities you've sought out outside your traditional schooling. It's also important for us to look at the quality of your senior year. We know that you may not have finished it yet, but we do want to see that you're continuing to challenge yourself and grow academically during your final year of high school. In addition, academic improvement is something we consider as well. So let's say you did not have the best freshman year of high school, but have made continuous improvement throughout your high school career. Tell us about it, because we want to consider that. So we look for not just like academic improvement and progress over the years, we look for academic achievements, awards that you might have seen from your high school, any other special projects you're doing, like research opportunities, etc. Tell us about that. We also value what you're doing outside of school. So any extracurricular activities you participate in are really important for you to highlight in the application. This includes things like clubs, sports, music, internships, volunteer opportunities, work experience. We also consider life experience because we know that extracurricular activities may not be accessible to somebody if they have to stay home and care for younger siblings, for example. So whatever you do outside of class, tell us about it on the application. Elaborate on it in the personal insight questions because it is part of your story and it makes you you. So anything that you've done outside the classroom is important for us to know about, and you can use the space in those personal insight questions to elaborate on those items. Um, Now, for the personal insight questions, there are 8 questions total. Students are invited to answer 4. Now, all of the questions are weighted the same. So no question is like more significant than another. What's really important is that you answer those questions that most resonate with you and will help us best understand who you are and what you bring. Okay, so I mentioned fulfilling your high school's requirements on the previous slide. So there's a chart on the screen here that may not make a whole lot of sense right now, but we'll talk through it. I wanted to share this because we as a California school are required to assess high school coursework based on the California high school curriculum standards. So in the state of California, that is called the A through G subject area. Now, if you are outside of the state of California, this is not something to be afraid of. I'll break it down for you. But it is reflected in the application in this format. So I wanted to present it now so it feels a little more accessible if you do apply. So if you are a California resident, you will be required to fulfill the A through G subject area in order to be considered for admission. If you are not a California resident, so if you live outside California, or if you are inside California but attend a high school that offers a different curriculum, such as International Baccalaureate or the French Baccalaureate, then the A through G also does not apply. Instead, on the application, you will be asked to enter your high school coursework exactly as it appears on your high school transcript, to the best extent possible that it matches the format of the A through G subject area. So again, it is okay if you come from a different curriculum, and it is okay if that curriculum has different requirements. There is space on the application to explain any differences in your high school's curriculum. So for example, if your high school does not require 1 year of visual or performing arts, or does not require the same amount of math, that is okay. You will have an opportunity to write this information in so that we know. Another reason I'm mentioning this pattern is because also, big picture wise, it just represents something more universal, which is that we are looking for students who have diversity, who have rigor in their high school academic career, and who are also meeting their school's requirements and passing their classes. So again, we hold an admission-specific information session in September, so do check our website regularly, and we hope you can attend that special session. So a little bit more about admissions, talking about the Sciences Po supplemental application. So from Sciences Po's perspective, they really want to know why you are interested in this program and kind of center the application around the question of why do you want to do the dual degree? They also assess your academic achievement and intellectual readiness for a program like this one. So they want to know why the program interests you, how it fits with your academic, personal, and professional goals, and also why you have chosen the specific Sciences Po campus you have, whether it's Le Havre, Menton, or Reims. Part of the Sciences Po application does include a lengthier personal statement, and you can take that opportunity to, again, explain how and why this multidisciplinary program and multidisciplinary educational environment, both being Sciences Po and UC Berkeley, is a good fit for you, and how it will help move you towards those, again, personal, academic, and career goals. I just want to remind y'all that this is a social science focused program, so do be sure to name that in your application. So in other words, if you are interested in things like biology or engineering, this is probably not the right program for you. I mentioned we'll want to know like why you chose a specific campus you did. I just want to also name that students do not have to have like personal connections to or have visited the region of interest. What's ultimately important is that as an applicant that you communicate your interest in that geocultural area. And again, talk about how it fits into your academic and career goals. So in addition to the personal statement, we also ask for a resume, and students have the option of submitting 2 letters of recommendation, which, can be recommended, but they are certainly not required. All right. I know there's a lot of information that we're sharing here, and this is kind of the last piece of admissions. So you submit your Berkeley application, you submit your Sciences Po application. The next step is the interview. So if an applicant is deemed admissible into the program, then they move on to the interview portion. I mentioned earlier that this does take place in January, and interviews are held virtually with somebody from UC Berkeley, so likely myself or my colleague Amber Dillon, and one of our colleagues from Sciences Po. Interviews are just another opportunity for us to get to know you and to dive deeper into your interest in this program. So during the interview, we'll, again, just like have a conversation. You can tell us a little more about why this program is a good fit for you, how it will achieve your goals. So it's like a very goal-oriented, there's a very goal-oriented aspect to the application process from Sciences Po's perspective. And we'll also just talk a little bit about your readiness for this kind of experience of having uh, college a college experience in two different countries in 2 different parts of the world. We would also be remiss if we didn't ask you questions about current events in the anticipated region of focus. So tell us a little bit about why you chose the campus you have, and tell us a little bit about just some of the current events that interest you that have taken place in that geocultural area. Again, interviews take place in January, and then admissions decisions are sent out in February.
So, if you don't want to take our word for it that this is the best college program out there, here are some other reasons for why you should do the dual degree. So besides the fact that you're able to study at 2 of the world's best universities, UC Berkeley is ranked #1 public university in the US, and it's the 4th best overall. And then Sciences Po is also ranked very highly. It's second in the world in political science and international studies. So besides the fact that these are 2 very great universities on paper, you also get experience at both a research university and a small liberal arts university, which is something that I found really enriching, to be able to get both the perspective of being able to research, and that's something that I've been part of is research at Berkeley, but also having that small liberal arts community where you're able to really know everybody and you're able to have like deep discussions in class. You get both of those experiences in full through this program. Um, you also, as we mentioned earlier, you get one-on-one dedicated advising from admission to graduation. This is something that's very unique. I did not know how important this was when I was applying, but it's something that my friends at other schools do not get, and it's something that they express envy over not getting, because it's really helpful to be able to rely on our advisors. And you're also extremely prepared for the rigor at Berkeley after Sciences Po. Both schools are academically rigorous. However, I personally didn't feel like it messed with the work-life balance. I feel like at both schools I'm able to travel, hang out with friends, while also still caring a lot about school and being able to learn a lot, which is, what college is for. As well as learn, from people and just experiences. There's also a cohort model, and there's specialized events and presentations for students. You'll enter Sciences Po with people that will be at Berkeley as well, so you'll get to know people within your cohort well, as Sciences Po is a fairly small school. Um, Also very sought after student population. You have very unique skills, and the unique program will set you apart on future applications. Basically, in every interview that I've had, when this program is mentioned, people are automatically curious, just because of the nature of the program. And then you can, draw them in and then talk about all the skills that you've gotten from being able to be at these 2 different schools. you also get a genuinely global expertise and you get travel experience. You get this global expertise not only through your classes, which are very internationally focused, and from the actual experience of living in a new country, um, and in just a new place. But you also can learn a lot from travel. Personally, I feel like I've grown the most from living in a new place and traveling. I did some solo traveling, which I feel like really increased my like confidence and independence for life. And yeah, you really get invaluable skills and knowledge from this dual degree. I'm so happy to have had the opportunity to do it.
All right, well, thank you, Annika. Yes, we certainly agree that this program does set students up for success in lots of unique aspects. We also get a lot of questions about what students do after graduation. So on the slide here, we have some information breaking down both grad school focuses and kind of career sectors for students who join the workforce right after graduation. So those are kind of the two most common pathways that students take upon graduation from the dual degree program. A lot will continue their studies in the form of like pursuing a master's degree, an MBA. A lot of students will go to law school. Students go attend these programs throughout the US, Canada, and the UK, and some even do return to France for that master's at Sciences Po Paris. Top subjects still tend to be within the social sciences, such as public policy, international affairs, but we also have students branching out and studying things like data science and media studies, like Annika. And then as far as students who begin working, many again will stay in academia and the social sciences. But again, we are in the Bay Area, so a sizable amount of graduates will go on to work in the tech industry. There's fantastic access to it here. We're really well situated for students pursuing career pathways in that sector. Many students, again, will stay in the social sciences. Some will go on to politics or a host of other industries like marketing or climate justice. Some will leave the Bay Area, go work on the East Coast, return to their home countries. Again, we've reiterated again and again that it is a super diverse program, and our student body and their interests and pursuits after graduation really reflect that. Um, so lastly, here are a couple of recent graduates with quick testimonials. I'm not going to actually go through and read the quotes that are on the screen here. I'll let you pay attention to those, but I do want to turn it back to Annika to share any last tips for us before we wrap up.
Yeah, I would just recommend if you're sitting here slightly interested in the program, apply. When I was thinking about this program, I kind of applied on a whim. I was like, I'm not actually gonna move to France. Like, no, I'm just gonna this seems really interesting. It's right up my alley, but well, I don't know. We'll see. I didn't think I would get into the program. But if you ever don't think you're going to get into something or get a scholarship or something, always still apply. You never know. Um, because somehow they accepted me and I'm glad they did. So thank you. Yeah, the program, I like if I was uh put in my high school self, I would re-choose this program every time. The skills that you get, the independence that you get, is genuinely like no other college program. And you also just meet incredible people at school, at the different schools, as well as through traveling. I have, yeah, so many memories from, my last 3 years here going into my fourth. And yeah, we're always open to any questions that you have. Um, please send them our way.
All right, well, that is a wrap. Thank you, Annika, and we're so glad you applied, albeit on a whim. Your contributions have been immeasurable, and we're so happy to have you as part of the dual degree family. And like Annika said, please do reach out if you have any questions. The last slide here has a bunch of our social media handles. It has our dual degree email. Um, so you can get in touch with us in a number of different ways. And I would be more than happy to connect with you individually and help you get in touch with a current student like Annika or some of our other mentors. And we, again, just welcome your interest and hope you apply. Thank you so much for joining us.